minus 40, but blue sky and sun, but it's free.
Yeah.
Well, since I hate dead silence, we might as well start in it. Emily.
Emily, it's okay. We're Lethbridge, it's all good. Okay, I would like to welcome everybody back. I think the conference is going swimmingly fantastic. It's great to see the numbers that we have of people participating and getting lots of information. I know we're in a very strange reality of what post-secondary is looking like right now. So today, I'm Emily, just in case none of you know that. I work at the Lethbridge College bookstore across the river from Annette, Carrie, and Becky. And I'm also the past president of Campus Stores Canada. So today, this session with Anna and Annette is about customer service delivery augmentation. It's probably the ugliest title we've had in all of the session. Augmentation, people kind of go, what the crap is that? Well, we have two lovely ladies here ready to show and share with us their experiences with how they've been dealing with it on their campuses. So Anna Junn is a manager of the bookstore and spirit shop at SFU, and I think we all know Annette. She most likely doesn't need an introduction, but I'll throw one for her. She is the bookstore manager at the U of L and has been probably every position on the CSC as well. And we are really looking forward to hearing what they have been doing to keep things going during the pandemic and changing some service delivery methods and stuff. So Annette has some slides, and then we'll let Anna jump in, and then I think we'll have time for questions after. Or Annette, are you okay if people ask throughout, or what?
Oh, sure. Whatever works. Okay.
So we'll just kind of keep it flowing, and I'll watch the questions and comments as well. Okay, take it away.
Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Pretty excited to be presenting in this particular realm where I'm in the comfortable setting of my office and I see all my work in front of me here. I'll stay focused on this, however. So a little bit about us. We are a small institution compared to, let's say, UBC, and we're currently closed for foot traffic. We closed in March, like many institutions, and we have not been open for classes. However, we had a small little stint of opening for counter service. The majority of time we were trying to work through our 5,200 orders, and we had 5,200 to just shy of 53 for fall and spring. We have about 2,000 something of pickups. The rest were all mail outs. Some of the tools that I quickly became very familiar with, I already used them, but not to the extent I had to get to know them when we had to deal with thousands of orders, was Excel, Word. Microsoft Booking was a new software package that was introduced to me by our IT team. Outlook, of course. Prism, we are a Prism store. And labeling, and this came from a hellish fall. And Carrie goes, wouldn't it be easier, Annette, if you didn't have to type every single one of those orders, because there's human error in that as well, and just scanned the numbers. So we figured that out for the spring term. And we also had our IT department create a chat for us. So we were getting maybe 500 emails with just simple little questions like, how do I order something? The chat alleviated tons of those little emails for our staff to deal with by building articles within the ServiceNow is a program that we use, and IT built that for us. We shared the cost between us and the IT department. They are planning on using what we learned and built this last fall to build one for themselves. So we're kind of like a guinea pig, so we shared the cost. It was $12,000, and we only had to pay $6,000. I know, it's flippin' expensive. Some of the things we realized very quickly is people just can't come in the hundreds on campus. So we had to set up an appointment program. Using that was our Microsoft Office had something called MS Booking, Microsoft Booking. I'd never seen it before. IT said, you own it already, use it. They wouldn't let me download a new program. So that's what we used. We had a separate location, one that had a very easy in and outdoors, so people were not crossing each other. They would just go through the indoor, grab their package and go out. So we did that. We slotted 10 students to start every 15 minutes, and there was a lot of openings and there weren't enough spots for all the students that wanted to pick up. So I moved it to 20, and that seems to be a comfortable level. We set up a confirmation email to remind students to come and pick up, and that there is PPE that is required to come on campus and pick up their packages. We mentioned as well one appointment if they pick up, because some of them would make 3 appointments back to back and use up some of those 20 spots because they had 3 orders to pick up. So we made that little comment, just something I learned along the way. And must use the email and name. So when you're trying to find your customer and match up their numbers, what I would get is our students to pre-pull any packages that had appointments for that day. This was for 2 reasons. 1, to make sure the package was there, and 2, to make sure that we got the customer's information correct in our system. So that was an important piece. Some of them the mom would make an appointment under their name, then we weren't able to find the package. So it was always fun working through that. And only next day booking. So people couldn't book 10 minutes before they got there. So I made a 10-hour window from when you could first make an appointment. So you can't book it after, let's say, hour 9 in that window, because we needed to get ready for those appointments to come up. So those are just some hints. This is a booking system that we use. Again, it's Microsoft Booking. It is owned within our licensing agreement with Microsoft Office, so it has our little logo up here. We had, it took me a little while to figure out how to use this, but once I started getting into the rhythm, it was very easy. I set up my own calendar. I could set up weeks differently. I could block off days. We're not open Saturday, Sunday. I only want to start at 10. I want to end at 2:15. I could put the location in there. I could get every email confirmation if I wanted. I did not, so I turned that off. So that's the booking system. You can also charge for it. I don't know what they would do, but wouldn't that be something? This is what it looks like once I've built it. There are certain services. So this particular service was for this spring. I only had one. In the fall, I had numerous ones because I changed locations. This one, I found a way I could just keep that particular service and just change the dates on it. And we had 3 ways to, whoops, ooh, how do I go back? How do I go back? Any hints?
Back arrow.
Yep.
Backspace.
Back here. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we did Pickup, Canada Post, and FedEx. We had an agreement with FedEx that they would come do pickups of our orders. It's a lot cheaper for us. The majority of orders are outside of Lethbridge. They're to larger city centers like Calgary, Vancouver, Victoria, Saskatchewan. We had Saskatoon, Regina. Then we have tons of little tiny communities that FedEx does deliver to, but there's a $25 to $30 out of scope charge. So we sent those via Canada Post. So each order had to be reviewed with a label stuck on it. And then I had to make a decision how or which format I was going to use to ship it out. So it doesn't take very long, but it did for thousands of orders a day. That's all I was doing all day. And I had to keep up with the pickup with the pickers. So the pickup orders are mailed using Word. So every night I would scan those little barcodes, create my Excel spreadsheet, and email those students that were able to make an appointment to pick up. This seemed to be the smoothest way. Fall was complete hell for us. We didn't have this system in place. We sure learned a lot. I'm sure many of you learned a lot of stuff when you went through fall. And this spring, we just seemed more relaxed, a lot more. We got our digital right on our website, so that was easier. We weren't dealing with all kinds of mailing out. Okay. I Google pretty well everything that I don't know how to do. So I found this clearlyinventory.com resource as how to print barcodes with Excel and Word. So I wanted to know, how could I create my own barcodes that I could scan onto my pick sheets? So this particular one I found, it is hilarious. I would be reading it and I'd have to run out and share with the staff some of the funny comments that this particular person had on their how-tos. If nothing else, you guys should go look at this. It's hilarious. Like, you did it right, clap your hands, call your mom, whatever, time to have a break. Or it was just funny and it was easy to get through. Here's an example of my barcode creator. Those are our web order numbers. And then the barcodes, I would print that off on the labels and it was easy peasy after that. Appointments are pulled from the booking list and I could create it by day. So I would only deal with one day at a time. Then I would get the web orders. So within Prism, you can do a report generator of the completed orders. I would have 2 tabs on my spreadsheet. And those of you that use Excel a lot, I used VLOOKUP and text join with the if comment. So that helps collect all the data and place them together. The CV file that I had to send for FedEx worked very well. And Excel spreadsheet that I would send to our shipping department for Canada Post worked well as well. ServiceNow, again, is our customer service chat. This helped us manage a lot of those questions. We had Becky dealt with all the questions in the fall. It was insurmountable, some of the volume that would come through. So we created a sheet of the most commonly asked questions. We created articles for those. So as our customers would go into our help chat area, it would say, have you placed an order? Are you stuck placing an order? It would then take them to the next level and give them a how-to. So we stopped a lot of emails coming to us by giving them examples on how to do things or answer the most commonly asked questions right before they even went through, like, I can't find what I need, and then it would come to us. I think the most I got in one day was 20. So that worked well. The bookstore email was still open for people to use. So they, yeah, that was still kind of full. We did add some articles. One that's called, when will my order be ready? Whenever we're frickin' ready is when it'll be ready. No, just kidding. we said in a few days, stop bugging us. And that is my presentation.
Awesome. Lots of information from Annette as per normal. I think we all resonate with many of the things that she has said. There's some really exciting things in there. We're going to turn it over to Anna, and she can share what she has been doing with the Spirit Shop and so forth at SFU. And then we will open it up to questions and discussions. And also we'd like to hear what other schools are doing as well that may coincide with what our 2 presenters have shared, or a completely different landscape of what they've been doing to make things work on their campus. But I think we can all safely say that fall was a cluster for all of us because there is just no other way to say it. I can't believe how many orders we had. 6 people looking for one order that was supposed to be up there for pickup for us. And then we would just keep saying, what was your last name? Can we have your driver's license? It was terrible. So I think we all have definitely learned a much better way to move forward into our winter semester. And then we'll most likely have it perfected by spring, and we'll go from there. So Anna, I'll turn it over to you, and then we can have some conversation after, okay?
Okay, thanks, Emily. Thanks, Annette. Let me see if I can do this. I feel like it's always a challenge to try and...
I have great faith in you, Anna.
And Anna, just push all the buttons till something shows up.
Should I just keep clicking until something...
Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay, hold on. I can do this. Nope. Keyboard match. That's correct. Okay, did I do it? Can you guys see?
Yay.
Yeah, we can. We got it.
Yay! There you go.
Woo-hoo.
Keyboard smash works. Hi, everyone. So I'm Anna Jun. I'm one of the managers at the Simon Fraser University Spirit Shop and Bookstore. This is exactly what our campus looks like right now. No students, just silence and, emptiness. So in March of 2020, like everyone else, we really had to fully shut down our store. We have 3 locations, and majority of our really decision came up down. So meaning our provincial health office said we had to shut down our in-classes, and then the university made decisions, and we basically were reacting to all of the changes that were happening. And the changes were happening by the hour, by the day, and many of you have experiences in trying to rapidly adjust your operations. So overnight, we had to make sure that we had to move to a completely online model. And one of the main challenges we actually had was we were very strongly discouraged from doing any pickup option. So the university was very clear that they didn't want students coming on campus unless absolutely necessary. So they encouraged us to only do delivery. So complete nightmare on our side. And on top of that, we were asked to make sure that only essential staff were on site. So we had to move all of our customer service delivery and all of our staff to remote work. So what that really caused an issue for us was the fact that so many changes were happening, and we had to let our customers as well as our entire university community know of what the changes were happening and when they were happening or how it's going to affect them. And then second, how are we going to navigate the fact that all of our staff are suddenly having to work online that they were used to doing in person? So I think one of the main challenges was our students are mostly used to coming in store and asking very specific questions, asking, help on specific classes they're taking and what these different options mean and things like that. And now all of a sudden, we had to basically try and augment that and really try and help them online and navigate all of that as quickly as possible. So one of the things that I wanted to focus on during this presentation was the live chat option that we did. So we used live chat before, but because of the fact that there was no physical access to our stores, this also meant that our staff really couldn't be on the phones answering, and we really didn't want a million emails coming through to our staff members either. And emails aren't necessarily effective in getting a rapid response to students or the university community. So we really wanted to funnel as much of the communications that are coming from outside in to one medium as much as possible. And on top of that, because our staff really couldn't be on site to be answering questions, we had to make sure we had to figure out a way to do remote work. And then live chat gave us the opportunity to really do instant communication. So live chat is an add-on that you add to your web page, and it's a separate service. And what it does is it allows any customers that are browsing your website to click on that button and really just ask a quick question based on what they're doing right there and then. And anyone from our store can log on and see that a customer is browsing or they need help. So most of you are familiar with any live chat function in any retailer. Ours looks like this. This is our front page. And when you first get on, all you see is just like a minimum button on the right-hand corner that says chat now. If a customer doesn't need help, then it just stays that way no matter where you are on our page. And then if a customer wants to help, needs help, then they click that button and then they can see this option. So it says, this is who we are. If you have a specific question that is very, tailored to a specific order, then come in and email us. But if you want help right now, then what is your name? And then we can actually filter the questions right there and then. So we have different options and we can modify that in live chat. So we did one for course materials, one for online orders, and one for general inquiries, and then one for faculty. So not only were we able to kind of funnel as much of the email communications that were just coming in, we were able to just make sure that everyone knew that this was the main point of contact you should be coming to if you have any questions about how are we operating, where do I get information, I need clarification on something else. And live chat offers the ability for you to do a quick implementation. So it really is just a very quick add-on to your page, and you can have it going within 24 to 48 hours. All you really have to do is just modify all the different settings so that it's tailored towards what your store needs. So to face those challenges before we implemented, one of the main things we had to do was make sure everyone knew that this was a main point of contact. We didn't want everyone going to, Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger, and then an email, and then try us on phone. We really wanted everyone to just try and come to this medium as much as possible. So what we did was we did a very quick social media blitz. So as I said, we needed to make sure that everyone knew of the changes that we're making in our store and in a timely manner. And we didn't know how long we were going to be closed or when we were going to be able to offer pickups or any of that. So we needed to make sure that our customers had a way to reach us and there was one area they could go to. And according to a lot of our generational information out there, a lot of our students will go to Instagram as their very first point of information gathering. So what we did was try to grow that social media presence as much as possible. And we did a social media blitz as soon as we knew that LiveChat was going to be the main point of contact for communication. So other things we also did was we kept on pushing this information out as regularly as possible. So we said, if you have a question, come here. These are some of the information you need to know. And these are the information that you should know before you start asking questions. But if you want an instant answer, then this is where you go. And then as you can see right here, the customers have the ability to leave a message. So if it's outside of those hours, instead of them trying to find an email address to come and email us for questions, what they would do is just leave an answer. And then first thing in the morning, our staff would go on and they would see all those tickets. So the tickets would basically be showing you, hi, my name is this, and this is my email address, and these are some of the questions I had about this one thing. And then we can get in touch with them and make sure that we're helping them and that nobody falls through the cracks. Now, the second challenge of implementing LiveChat and trying to go remote was the fact that we needed to up our internal communication as much as possible. So this meant that all of our staff were working from home, with an exception of few that are doing online fulfillment in stores. And this caused a bit of an issue because it was no longer you sitting side by side with your coworker, just asking quick clarification questions. You now had to focus all your attention on the fact that customers are coming to you from live chat instead of face-to-face. So one of the things that we implemented was a scheduled live chat shift. So that's basically exactly as it sounds. So we assigned, Annette to work Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 10 to 2, and her primary duty during that time would have been live chat. So that means while you're doing your work, you still focus on live chat to make sure that no customers are left behind. And on top of that, that also meant that on other days that you're not on live chat, you can focus on your work so you're not being constantly demanded and kind of your attention is being taken away. So it allows people to catch up to their actual duties that they would have to do as well. We also assigned a supervisor to each day. So if a live chat agent is working, but let's say an elevated issue comes up, so a customer is very angry about an order and they've tried to de-escalate the situation, but nothing's happening, then they know that there's at least one supervisor that's dedicated to that day that is a live chat support, and they can step into live chat and help them if needed. And that allowed that kind of empowerment for our staff so that they know that they have some support in case they really can't handle it. So it was a really beneficial thing that our staff really enjoyed. The other thing we did was a pre-rush meeting, and this is something we do within our store anyway. So around 3 weeks before the start of semester, we clarify some of the procedures and some of the things that everyone should know, and then we go over it and they do a fun game in person. And they try to make sure that everyone is kind of on the same page for things like that. And that helps to clarify any questions that might have, especially if you're new or you've never worked a rush before, or if you can't quite remember what like the refund policy is, we make sure that everyone's on the same page. And the third thing we did was we dedicated a Slack channel in live chat. So We made sure that LiveChat was the one area that we all responded to promptly. So if you're a supervisor on duty, or if you're just working and you see a question on the LiveChat channel, then that meant that you needed to kind of be very quickly responding to any questions that came out. So any of our agents could really go on and just quickly ask questions like, hey, I have this faculty member and I'm not really sure how to deal with this issue. Then someone else could respond, or they can tag someone else and say, hey, Nancy, are you able to help me out on this? I'm not really sure how to answer it. And on top of that, that allowed people to see how to deal with those questions further down the line. So they can still see all that information and they can know, okay, in this kind of situation, then this is how I deal with it. And on top of that, if there was any urgent news that needed to come up that all the LiveChat agents should really know about, like the Math 100 textbook is going to be late and it's not arriving till Tuesday, then we can put that information in LiveChat so all the agents are fully aware. Last thing we did is similar to what Annette did at her college, which is we created an FAQ document. So because all the LiveChat agents had to be on a same page and we wanted the consistent messaging to go out, what we did was create an FAQ document which anyone can see and anyone can really quickly search. So this is what it looks like. And all you really do is you can do a search function and then you can see exactly what you're looking for. And if you don't find it, then you go to Slack channel and try and find that information. And then as you can see right here, there's little hashtags beside it. So LiveChat has the ability for you to actually put in canned responses. So if someone actually did ask this question, then all you had to do as an agent was to put in that hashtag no pickups, and then LiveChat would actually automatically insert that canned response so that all the messaging is really consistent. It saves our agents time and it saves the ability for us to make sure that all the agents are pushing out the same information to all the customers. Now, outside of this, one of the challenges that we did have was the fact that we suddenly switched to a digital delivery model in summer of 2020. So there was a lot of questions we were getting. And before the start of pandemic, we got maybe 3 to 5 chats on LiveChat a day. But after the start of pandemic, when we finally switched, we got 971 between a 6-week period. And for us, that's a huge number. And for a high, we had 143 chats come in for 1-day period between 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. in the summer of 2020. And we expected that because we suddenly changed to a digital delivery model. There was a lot of questions from faculty about how did they get their textbooks and et cetera. But this also allowed us to deal with the questions on a very timely manner, and it made sure that not our inboxes weren't being flooded with the same questions from faculty or from the same questions from students. We were able to effectively just provide a quick response and then close that communication gap as much as possible. And for fall 2020, we had a lot less. And then for spring 2021, we had even less. And the biggest surprise was actually fall 2020 for us. We thought that we would have a huge amount of live chats for this fall semester just because it would be a new intake of students. But what we actually had was a lot less because of the social media blitz we kept on pushing in leading up to the start of semester. So we kept on going with the live chat, and we also kept on going with the infographics on social media to make sure that students are fully aware so that they're asking a little bit less questions and they're only seeking answers if it was a very tailored specific issue. So overall, it was a really good tool that we needed to use, and it really helped in terms of getting our remote work going, and it allowed our staff to feel like they had some power and control over how they can help customers. And it really saved our inboxes from being overloaded with similar questions, and it really increased our customer service satisfaction. And that's it.
And that's it. She's blown our minds. The chat box is out of control between her and Annette. And thank goodness Carrie's been fielding some of these questions and answers for them. Steve, I'm just wondering if you would be able to make a quick poll. We had a question from Maria asking how many bookstores have a separately staffed call center and how many people would staff it, or if people would just like to answer this right now, whichever. I think a poll might be a little bit easier, but if you want to paraphrase it, Steve, somehow. Because I think this is going to be the way that bookstores are going to go regardless of pandemic or not. I will just share my own experience. I have been the answerer of email and phones, and that's all I did all day, was just sit and answer. So we're looking at the chat service as well, and just getting the frequently asked questions. That seems to be a lifesaver on many, many levels. And is it up? Oh, perfect. Steve popped it up there. So if you guys could answer that, so then we can kind of see where bookstores are sitting with that question from Maria. Annette and Anna, we had, so Penny's store is doing that. They have a call center staffed with 1.5 people, but currently no chat options. Okay. Carrie answered that one. McMaster has a very similar one as well. Julie Forsyth, so do you know the average time it would take to answer and resolve each live chat? Was there a queuing system with wait times?
Yeah, I can take the first little bit. So with live chat function, you can set how many chats each agent can answer at each given time. So we set that at 2 to 3 maximum. And then after that, everyone else gets queued. So that you can do even up to 7, but really that's just too overwhelming for anyone to handle. And then some newer staff that were coming on to our team that might have not really been comfortable answering 3 chats at a time, we set them at 1 so that they're just able to just kind of get that, ball going. And then, sorry, what was the second part of the question?
Was there a queuing system? So
yeah,
wait time you've answered that as well. Annette, was there anything that you add differently, or?
Because we were getting still questions from various sources we didn't turn our phone off, but we did put a phone message gearing them towards our customer service portal. I still can't come up with a decent name for it, but the customer service portal. And also on our email, letting them know that there is a customer service portal and what the address is, so they may be able to find their answer. The problem with that was we got the email, we'd get a voicemail, and we'd get the portal questions. So we had to find a way, and some were missed just with the volume. Checking to make sure, did they send an email, or have they already been answered through the email by another staff member? So that we're going to have to figure out a little bit better way to do for the next term, so we're not duplicating our work. And for the queue, we answered, well, I was responsible for the portal and Becky did the emails. And I think we were pretty good at getting them done. We'd start our day, answer them, and it wouldn't be more than 24 hours before they got an answer.
Awesome. So what we did, I will just add, for the phone, we had our IT take it off so that students couldn't leave messages, and that was a lifesaver. So we put, again, I just did the thing directing them to our website or to the email to leave, to get their questions answered there. And that was a lifesaver for us, because that phone in September, the hell months, I said my staff has post-traumatic stress disorder from September still. So, we're working through that group therapy, Anyway, so it was incessant. So this way it was wonderful. I could do the email answering. And so what we did for our store to make sure that everybody knew that the emails were answered, I would I would reply all, so that so whomever got the emails as well as I did knew that all of the emails were being answered, so that we weren't getting 3 of us trying to answer 1 email. So just different little tricks like that. Julie Forsyth, okay, that's good. Okay, so it looks like those are the majority of that. There's a Q question. Madeline, okay. I'm curious to know if most institutions are using their current staff, full-timers, to help with the customer service chats, emails on some sort of rotation, or if you've hired new people dedicated just for this either short period of time or ongoing because of this new environment. Anna or Annette? The two A's, double A.
I could start this as well. Because of the pandemic, we were on a budget freeze, so we weren't hiring additional staff members. So that's why the scheduled system was very important to us. We didn't want anyone to really be burnt out, first of all, from doing live chat 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, because that's just way too much for anyone. So no, we didn't have additional staff hired, but what we did was reassign the staff. And that's when the FAQ really came into effect, because if you read through the FAQ, or if you just took, 1 minute to kind of search through it, even if you were working at another department, you can usually find the answers that they're looking for. And really 90% of the questions were, where's my order? How long does it take, etc. So those are things like, hey, there's a Canada Post delay going on. Did you know it's snowing outside? That's why there's a delay, etc. Right? So a lot of the questions could really be de-escalated that way. And if it was a very specialized question, that's when the second level kind of kicked in, which was the Slack channel where you can ask specific questions. Or LiveChat actually has the even ability for someone else to take over the chat. So if, let's say, an entry-level new person comes in and they're like, I have no idea how to answer this, then they can tag someone else and say, hey, Nancy, can you step in? And Nancy can take over the chat and then answer the questions, and then they can take from the queue for the next customer.
And for the U of L, we went up in flames, burnt up, and are still trying to collect the ashes. So we learned a lot from the fall. And yeah, this is why we created this chat system, or the portal system with the articles in it, because it was overwhelming. And I have to share one story. There was a student that sent an email, and I know Becky will remember this one. Hi, I asked a question, nobody's answered me. Hi, I asked a question, nobody's answered me. When is somebody going to answer me? I'm going to spam this until you guys answer me, and on and on and on and on. It was like, oh my God, do you not have something to do? So it's just stuff like that sends you over the deep end. I also wanted to mention, and Carrie and Becky are texting me all kinds of things, is the tone. The chat tone is different than the email tone. I took over the portal thing because I could be quick like this and don't piss around with, how you doing? Have a great day. I just answer it and send it, because I don't have time to piss around with you people.
That's why Annette's tucked back in the corner of the store.
That's right, and that's why Becky was doing the emails, because she's much more warm in her emails.
Okay, Maria has a question of what kind of reporting or monitoring options are there with LiveChat?
So monitoring and reporting. So LiveChat is able to actually tell you how long each agent, on an agent level, like how long they worked on a chat, their satisfaction level. Automatically, there's a survey that comes up after a chat has concluded. We have very low rate of response for those ones, just because as soon as someone gets their answer, they're just out of there. They don't even want to talk to us anymore. And then in terms of the other reporting, it tells you how many chats we received in a day, what times were the most busiest. So LiveChat has a lot of capabilities, but one thing I will mention is that it is quite expensive. It is not a cheap function. So we are looking at other LiveChat options to see what could be a more financial beneficial one for us, but you pay for each agent. So that's also why we also did the scheduled system, so that we could have breaks, as well as we can limit the number of agents that are on site. So Susan Chu's the other manager. We're looking at Talk, which is the other option that is apparently free. So we're testing that out right now to see if we can maybe transition over to that and what features there are. But lots of reporting options, which agent got the best satisfaction, how long were they on for, how long were customers engaged to us for, and then which day was really good. It's almost too much information, but as much information as you can kind of fathom.
Okay, we got our poll results back. So these were the two questions. So do you have a call center? So yes, internally staffed. So 15 people have that going on. Nothing is externally staffed. And then 31 said no, they don't have a call center. And we had one that voted other. So I'm not sure what that other was. And then are you using LiveChat as a LiveChat solution? 8 stores answered yes, and 22 answered no. So I would definitely say that this is something that is going to probably be on the horizon for most post-secondaries. Who would have ever thought we had to staff a call center within the bookstores? And again, size is going to be variant for all of us, but very interesting to see where this is going with us. The chat box is just going crazy, so give me 1 second to get caught up. Make sure that you guys are reading this, everybody, because lots of them is just information as well. Okay, I thought Stephen, 50% of emails would be eliminated if there's a better option from CEI than Adobe Digital Editions. That's from Stephen. Totally agree. That is true. Okay. So any other questions that Annette or Anna could answer? Or is there anything that any of you would like to share of what your store has done? Always interesting to hear. Or we could just have a de-escalation of everybody not being stressed out about going forward with any of this. So just 1 sec. Oh, one more question here from Dave Smith. David, sorry. We instituted a college-wide program called JET, where it displays full-time employees from other departments. They could apply through their managers, and they are still paid from their home departments. Interesting. That could probably be a thing that goes forward. Dave, would you like to speak to that a little more? Kind of putting you on the spot.
Sure. Well, there were a lot of employees that weren't working full-time hours, so instead of us paying for them, and they were, keep in mind at our college, they were getting paid anyway. So we basically, it was a college-wide program that we put in place where they could go online and apply. And if there's any training needed, we would train them. It worked very well before the rush, and we didn't have to hire basically anyone to help out. And the one thing it did, we even had some faculty members come and work for us. And it was a real eye-opener for her to see what the bookstore does. They didn't realize what we're all about. So, and Maria can attest to this, I'm sure, as well, that a lot of the people that did come to work for us, they want to come back. And they'll be back in September. Hopefully we'll be open, but if we're not, they'll be back. It worked very well.
That's amazing to hear. And it's just the lure of the bookstore because we're delightful.
Exactly.
We took on, we got some of our ancillary brothers and sisters come and help us pull in fall, because we came back with thousands and thousands of orders, and there is no way we could have got through the backlog without them. So a little bit of training, we only let them pick, however, because there was so many different anomalies. It would have taken us forever to train them on what to do. Just pick what says on the list. That's all you got to do. So they came and helped us get caught up. That was phenomenal.
There was a little bit of skepticism with some of the employees because they really didn't want to let others know that they weren't busy. They thought that might affect their job down the road. But as a result, we've got employees that want to transfer over to the bookstore now.
Yeah, we found there were areas, like the library typically is busy at end of term. The testing center is busy at the end of term. We're busy at the start of term. And in September, we one by one collected everybody from the testing crew, and they were amazing. Like they were too, only pickers, because we wanted to sort of have a process, but we could have not gotten through without the 7 of them helping. So it was huge.
That's awesome to hear. And yeah, I mean, we're campus wide, so you have to utilize sometimes, and sometimes it is better because at least they already have a foundation knowledge of what the campus is about and so forth. We do have one question from Carrie Tanaka. How do stores manage questions being sent through social media direct messaging? That's a really great one, Carrie, because that's a whole other platform that bookstores are just getting involved in. We had Facebook messaging, Instagram. I don't know. Those are the two that we use. I don't know all the other platforms, but if anybody would like to jump in and share what they've been doing or hope to be doing in an ideal world, would be great. I'll share what we did then.
Shannon has her hand up.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Shannon.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you see what we did is on our Facebook, we put an automated message on the messenger thing, because you can combine them both. And we asked people, like, this is not monitored during like our busiest time. Could you please? And then we just sent them to our inbox where everything was coming in. And we just left it at that. So everyone got an answer. It was a bot, but we didn't want to have too many different streams of places to respond to.
Sonia said that their marketing team monitors their social media questions and then directs them to the appropriate person to answer. So if you're able to do that, sometimes it's just a hierarchical of what your campus model is doing, but it does get tricky, and sometimes it's scary letting other departments answer questions for you, because we had a few from registration and the students saying this, and this, and I went, that's not true at all. So let me tell you what's really going on. So it can be tricky, they're coming from the right place, but it is hard. Another question that was that I had thought of is, how long did you take for training for these people that you would bring in from other departments, and also for the training on the chat? What does that look like, Anna, for you, or Annette, whichever?
We basically took just, I don't know, we found that sometimes we didn't train them enough because we have to try and remember that they're not from our department. And there's a lot of little institutional knowledge or little things that we have on our pick list or switches that they just don't understand, right? They're looking for an ebook, like where's this ebook thing, knowing that, okay, that student needs the CI code or something. So there's certain things that we didn't spend a lot of time on, which we felt later on as we're going through the checking process. I think when we do it next time, we're going to and Carrie and Becky are just hearing about this first time, but I think we should do surprise. And we do this for our cashiers that we train. We need to have a training in case we ever need to involve other departments again. It's just, when are we going to have time to build this training thing from the very beginning to pull, what does it mean? What are some of the terms that we need to watch for? Yeah, so if you already have a manual that you give your cashiers to help you in the store, that should be shared with your other departmental helpers as well.
Great. Anna, anything to add for yours?
Yeah, so for LiveChat, we actually do a bit of a rotation basis on semesters. So we assign one of our senior customer service associate to be basically in charge of LiveChat. So that means they're responsible for leading the pre-rush meeting, updating the FAQ, and then also updating the canned response. And that is one of their primary duties. So what they do is, if we have someone that we need to pull from another department, we buddy them up with another person for about a week so that they can show them the ropes and how to do things. LiveChat is pretty intuitive in terms of, how you actually answer things. The only thing you need to know is canned responses and, how do you pick someone from a queue? So it's very easy to use. But at the same time, we didn't want them just trying to reach everyone and anyone to try and get help. So we did a buddy system for about a week, just so that they can get some additional specific help and like, how do I do this and how do I do that? So in terms of training time, I mean, within about an hour or two, our staff were really comfortable using LiveChat. So there isn't a huge training that needs to happen on how to use it. The information on who to reach to and where to get that information when you don't know the answer, that's the part that always takes a little bit longer, which is where kind of the FAQ kind of helps as much as possible, because they can go there, and then on the times that they're not so busy, they can kind of browse that information and see what their knowledge base really needs to be in order for them to be comfortable with like 90% of the questions that are coming through. So training wise, minimal in terms of getting the information so that everyone's on the same page always takes a little bit of time, which is why we always kind of initiate the FAQ as well as the pre-rush meeting around 3 weeks before the start of classes. So they have plenty of time to just kind of get caught up, and they're not, you know, rushing to try and get information in.
Sorry. Oh, go ahead.
I had one more thing. So for social media, we did initially get a lot of inbox questions on Facebook and Instagram. So what we did was we actually pinned the LiveChat post at the top of the Facebook page, so that if you land on our Facebook page, that's the first thing you see. So if you have a question, like your instinct shouldn't be to go to Facebook. It should really be just to see that and go to our website, and the link was right there. So that we don't get so many questions in Facebook. And that did reduce a lot of the questions we were getting on Facebook and Instagram once we kind of pushed that messaging out a little bit more.
Awesome. It's literally, we're reinventing the bookstore of 2021. Let's be totally truthful. And I'll just say we're killing it. We may want to kill a few people on the way, but we're killing something. So anyway, Louisa from UBC, one of those BC places. She's a Raytech school, and they have training materials that are available. She's just posted this in the chat. So if you do have, if you want some of her training, just send her an email to her CSC account, and she'd be more than happy to share it. Anybody else have some wins? Just what are some wins that you had for a quick 2020 or 2021 that anybody wants to share, or, you know, nightmare stories that we can all relate to on some level? Anybody? Nobody had any wins?
Hi, I can't remember if I shared this with the big group or if it was one of the breakout sessions. We too got to use some deployed staff from other departments. And then we had an opening. We had somebody retire after 37 years. And one of the people who had been deployed in September liked working at the bookstore, like Dave had mentioned. He applied for the job, and he's now one of us. And we couldn't be happier because he totally had a view of what he was walking into, and we were going to be stepping up some of the responsibilities, and he's taken it on, and it's worked out quite well. We only had one person come back for the January rush, but she managed our pickup window pretty much Monday to Friday, and that was a huge help and alleviated pressure on our own staff who are doing other things. So the deployment, if you can get that going on your campuses, and I agree that it also added perspective for some other departments to go back and talk about how hard the bookstore people work, and how fun it is at the same time, and how great it is to see students' faces and get that interaction. So if you can get it going on your campus, I highly recommend it.
Awesome. Joanne has her hand raised. You got the floor, Joanne.
Oh, thank you. I'm kind of late joining this conversation because I had another meeting, but I just wanted to sort of discuss some of the challenges that we had. So this is actually my first conference. The past couple of ones I haven't been able to attend. And so we're located in Fort McMurray, Alberta. So not only did we face COVID in March when we shut our campus down, we were hit with a catastrophic flood, which flooded most of our downtown. And of course, our buildings were impacted. So besides everything else that we had to deal with, we had to try to figure out a way to run the bookstore for the spring semester and some of our summer sales with a flood. We actually moved our bookstore temporarily, sort of, came into the bookstore to grab as much as I could inventory wise and bring it up to our other location and ran it out of there. Also had to do inventory with no power, no internet during the last week of June. And we didn't get back into our campus until the 17th of August. So we came back to, I don't know how many technical issues, glitches, problems. So our opening was, of course, impacted by that. By the time we got some of our internet and tech issues solved, we actually had a backlog of hundreds of orders. So we made the decision to keep the store closed, hired two students last minute, trained them to pick orders, and it was a nightmare, just to say the least. So we decided to do the same thing, just close our doors the first 2 weeks of January. Of course, we didn't have the flood impact at like we did before, but it was just not, because our campus was technically open, but we just didn't want, lineups outside the store, those kinds of things. So to say that my 2.5 years at this store have been impactful, I just can't believe how much we've had to go through. And for those of you who don't know, like, we had just had a fire 5 years ago, which was catastrophic as well. So I kind of came in a couple years after that. But I mean, just the effects of these natural disasters impacting our campus and our community and our economy have just been devastating, to say the least.
But Joanne, you're and I will say, from all of us, you win for the most dramatic story. And down. And
I know, it's just been crazy.
But
yeah, I mean, like, I came into this role, I had retail experience, but most of my experience has been with municipal government. And of course, I was with municipal government when the fires hit, and then thought we kind of got through that disaster. But all of our buildings are open except for one, and that's probably a few months down the road. Just the level of flooding was just devastating.
But here's the one thing that we will all say in support of you is you are extremely resilient. You're still here. You're sort of laughing about it, the drugs wearing off. But kudos to you that you're still doing it, that you're here to the conference. This is where your people, we're your tribe, we're whatever you want to be, and we're here to support you however we can. Just even if it's for you to vent, we totally understand it. All of us have our different issues, but I think you're handling it amazingly well. And keep it up. Use us as a resource to, help you wherever we can. And I just want to say one thing. Emily Durr, I appreciate that there's another Emily. She wants to shout out to all the newbies being thrown straight into the deep end. Yay for us. So for anybody who is new to these roles, being a bookstore manager or course materials, it's tough on a good day. Throw in all of these extra fun things. It's shocking that we're still vertical. So way to go for everybody. Joanne, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I just, it's disappointing for me because I haven't been able to attend the conference in person. So it has been the past couple of days just interesting listening to some of the things that other people are doing. So it's kind of been inspiring because you kind of sit here some days and go like, what do I do? How do I get people into the store? How do I overcome all of these things? And just to hear some of the stories and just some of the ideas has been greatly appreciated. And hopefully next year I'll be able to come and do this in person, because without seeing product and without meeting other people, you kind of feel like you're disconnected. And so this was my hope that I was going to get to come this year. But at least we have this avenue to be able to connect with other people. But yeah, it's just been a challenge for sure. And hopefully everybody that's around the table here is kind of seeing some light at the end of the tunnel.
Perfectly summed up. And again, we are grateful for our two presenters, Anna and Annette. They have wowed us with all of these new things that are coming onto the forefront for all of us, without a doubt. I'm terrified a little bit of the chat, to be totally honest, but I think, you know, I'll just swim on over to to the university, but I'll fly over to see you in SFU. Again, wanted to say thank you for that. It was a great conversation. And again, everybody, send love to Joanne particularly. You'll get to our conference eventually.
Yes, thank you.
And in person is so much better. Greg knows that. He's really pushing for in person. So we will do what we can. Also, just wanted to say that our next one is, next session is at 2:30 Eastern. So just adjust your time zones accordingly. And it is working with campus stakeholders. And we also are doing the $500 donation to, Greg, what's it called again? Books.
First Book Canada.
First Book Canada. So that will be greatly appreciated to them as well. And again, everybody, thank you for all the great feedback and questions. I love doing these kind of sessions where we get to hear the wins and the not so great wins that we all can relate to. All right, go eat lunch or go have a nap, do whatever you're going to do, and we will see you back in a while.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Bye, everybody.